What's going on, everybody? It's your boy Ray Garvin back with the Draft Network Scouts. And in this edition of the latest iteration of the TDN 100 for the month of January 2023, we are going to talk about a day two prospect that all of our scouts really like. There are a lot of players in this draft class. You look at the TDN 100, got running backs, tight ends, wide receivers, no kickers in there, but we got all kinds of positions. But we want to talk about some guys that may be under the radar that we really like in day two and why we should be excited about these guys going into the 2023 draft cycle. If you're new to the channel, make sure you hit that thumbs up button and subscribe to the content. Most importantly, feed that algorithm, comment below, and let us know about some under the radar players not projected to go in round one that you like as you're watching this video. But we'll start off. Joe, talk to us about a guy on day two that you think will be drafted on day two that you like and people should know about.
One of my favorite guys that I've recently evaluated for the draft that I gave a day two grade to is Ronnie Hickman, a safety out of Ohio State. And just a little background on him. I played offense and defense in high school, receiver and a defensive back, but he also was an All-American lacrosse player. So guessing he's probably going to be a Patriot when it's all said and done based on that lacrosse background, especially a New Jersey kid that was an All-American. But he went to Ohio State, and he was a really fun player to watch on film. We talk about these hybrid safeties that can, play in deep halves and down near the box and even some man coverage from the slot. I think you get all of that from Ronnie Hickman, and he's 6'1", 205 pounds, very aggressive downhill trigger. Love the way he diagnoses and gets to the football, takes good angles, and really has no problem being that +1 defender in the box, or even as a traditional nickel being that kind of weak side linebacker as well. He works through some tight, congested areas very well, finds the football, very physical. Love his tenacious mentality that he plays with, but he also can cover, right? That's also a big deal, right? I don't want to harp too much on what he can do as a downhill player because I know defensive backs, we like them for what they can do in the passing game. And you can really appreciate Ronnie Hickman as a guy that has good zone awareness, but also it's the man coverage ability from the slot. You saw him go out and play man-to-man with tight ends all the time for Ohio State, and I think he mirrors and matches extremely well, even against some of the slot receivers. And so maybe you want to wait on that hybrid slot safety nickel defender. You don't want to pick one super early. I think you can fall back and get Ronnie Hickman somewhere in the middle of day two, maybe the third round, and feel like you got yourself a starter and a nice career to Ohio State, and I think he's going to have a nice career in the NFL.
Thank you, Joe. Thank you for that one. And everybody out there, go check out Ronnie Hickman. Keith, you're up next. Who do you like on day two? A player that you've liked, you've scouted, you've watched, that you're really excited about. Probably not going to go on the first night of the NFL draft, but somebody that you think should come off of the board round two, round three.
Yeah, I think it's Alabama linebacker Henry To'oTo'o, right? And it's a fairly unpopular position. Over the years, linebacker has been growingly unpopular amongst draft fans, the draft community. But when you really watch the game of football and everything that the linebacker is responsible for, man, they have a responsibility for every play, right? Whether if it's a run play, whether it's two them away, they have a gap responsibility. And in pass coverage, man, with offenses manipulating the middle of the field, with slot defenders, with running backs, with, just different schemes and setups, linebackers are becoming more and more important in pass coverage. And you look at top defenses, right? Like you look at the San Francisco 49ers, Fred Warner, man, this guy flies around and he's the heart and soul of that defense. Then you look at the trade between the Chicago Bears and the Baltimore Ravens and what Roquan Smith has meant to that Baltimore Raven defense. He's elevated them in almost every metric by 10 to 15 slots, right? So I look at a linebacker like Henry To'oTo'o, somebody that can play the run, playing pass coverage as a good day two guy that while, you won't be able to, show your friends, hey, we got this new linebacker and everybody get excited. Man, when it comes to playing playoff football, playing winning football, he is definitely a guy that's going to be counted on and he's going to be a plus level defender for your defense.
Keith, let me ask you a follow-up question because I believe Henry will be at the Senior Bowl here in a couple of weeks. Do you think there's any chance with a strong performance at the Senior Bowl and what he does either at the Combine or Pro Day for him to elevate his stock with that Alabama name? We know you think back to Alabama linebackers of the past, Rolando McClain, C.J. Mosley, the list goes on and on, Deontay Hightower. Do you think there's any chance that Henry could move his way up into round one?
I definitely think so because I think with programs like that, man, it's a give and take, right? Because if you lose 2-3 games at Alabama, now your entire team is a disappointment, right? And it's looked as though there are no good football players on your team. So the more that Henry To'o can distance himself from this past season, right, and start to be looked at as an individual player and build out his own draft profile, I think he will be able to elevate it. And listen, we know the Senior Bowl is structured in where there are one-on-one drills where linebackers versus running backs, and then you have 7-on-7 drills. You have, inside drills. So there are a lot of opportunities for Henry To'o to definitely showcase his skill set.
Kyle, give us your guy that's not going to get drafted in round 1, but you are excited about because he's coming off the board in day 2 and player that we should know about.
Oh, it's another Senior Bowl guy, and it's Central Michigan defensive end Thomas Incoom, who played 2 years at Central Michigan. Before that, he was at Valdosta State. He put up 11.5 sacks and 18.5 tackles for loss this year. He had tape against Oklahoma State and Penn State this year. Penn State was one of 2 games the entire season that he didn't log at least a sack or a tackle for loss, and it damn well might have been the best tape he put out there this season. Just a constant presence around the football. This guy's 6'5", 265 pounds, long, NFL build, converts speed to power really well. This is a player who, 2 years on mid-major level of competition and is showcasing really well and showing out against Power 5 offensive linemen. He really impressive player, and I expect he's going to go down to the Senior Bowl, and coaches and executives and football people are going to look at this kid and they're going to say, he's only played 2 years in the MAC, and that's it, and he looks like this. This is the kind of guy with the traits that you can absolutely bet on. So he's a really exciting player, and I would not be surprised at all in the midst of what is a very deep pass rusher group if he doesn't ultimately end up pushing up into the middle of day 2 and potentially even sneak into the second round.
How much does the Senior Bowl help a defender like this, an edge defender? Do you think, and I'm just asking the same question that I asked Keith, is there any chance that an NFL team looks at his measurables, he has a strong performance at the Senior Bowl, interviews well, does all of that stuff, any way he could push for maybe a top 50 pick in this class?
I wouldn't dismiss it. I'd be surprised just because I do think there's a lot of building out of his game that still does need to happen for him to be a complete player for the NFL level. But the value of the Senior Bowl is it's equal footing and equal playing field, right? You're watching him against Northern Illinois and Ohio and all of these other Eastern Michigan. Well, now you get him down at the Senior Bowl, and he's going against the same offensive tackles that the big school kids are going against, and you get to see how he attacks the same players and how he physically measures up against the same players. So it is the great equalizer for a 2-year player who previously was at Valdosta State to go in and showcase, hey, this is what I'm capable of. And anybody who's gone down to the Senior Bowl, you think about guys like Javon Hargrave as defensive tackle and Nathan Shepard, going down to the Senior Bowl and what those guys were capable of doing as small school kids. And then just understand this guy might have started at that level, but he's since played Division I football. So he's already got an additional leg up and has some game tape against Power 5 teams like Oklahoma and Penn State too.
Thank you, Kyle, for that one, and looking forward to watching him when we get down there as well in a couple of weeks. Damian, you are last. Talk to us about a guy that you think has a chance to go on day 2 that you really like and people need to be aware of.
Man, if you've followed me on Twitter, you know that I've talked about North Carolina wide receiver Josh Downs. Not the biggest guy, right? 5'10", 175, but even coming out of high school, clocked in under, as a 4.47, jumping 42 inches as a high schooler, right? And is a dynamic, explosive receiver. And in my report that you can find at thedraftnetwork.com, I basically said in there that he plays basketball on grass in terms of how he runs routes. This kid knows how to stem. He's patient. He attacks angles. He has a sudden stop and start ability. He's just an elite type of route runner that knows how to work the base and the footwork and the leveraging of defensive backs. And the one thing about it, guys, that I found so appealing and pleasing, in 2021, his contested catch rate was about 31%. It jumped up to 73, where he only missed on 5 of those. And then you talk about a smaller guy that does not mind going up and attacking the football at his highest point. That's a trait that you don't see in a lot of small receivers. That takes that takes a pair. That takes being a big boy inside your chest. And I love everything I see from him. Is he going to be a slot? Sure. If you're going to draft him as a number one receiver, probably not. But he's going to be a wide receiver too. He's got the yards after catch ability. And again, he knows how to put the ball in the paint. He knows how to score touchdowns. And it's just his innate ability of understanding space, leveraging, and the feel for the game. This young man is really, really good. If you haven't checked him out, please do so.
DP, I'm going to ask you the same question that I asked the other scouts, and I think the answer to this one, in my opinion, is yes. But do you think that Josh Downs, an early declaree, has an opportunity to sneak his way into the back of the first? Because I've seen him mocked, not only by us over here at the Draft Network, by other draft analysts, late first-round pick potentially. So do you think there's a real-world possibility where back of the first round, a team maybe like the Giants, a team maybe like the Minnesota Vikings, they take a shot on a kid like Josh Downs and spare me the slot receiver narrative? We've heard that from everybody else. The dude can play. I don't care if he's in the slot or outside. Do you think he's got a shot to go round one, DP?
I do. I do think he can slip into, and climb up into the bottom half of that first round, Ray. And you talked about it, right? You see the Jahan Dotsons, the Tyler Lockett's, those guys that can make those game-changing plays, really move the chains consistently and make big plays, even down into the third levels of the defense, man. You leave them one-on-one with these nickel corners that they can go to work with a two-way go. I think he can. And you mentioned the Minnesota Vikings. You have TJ Hawkinson that you got via trade. You have Justin Jefferson. Now you think KJ Osborne is solid, but putting the Josh Downs in that offense with Kirk Cousins, improve the protection. Like, man, that really, you won what, 11, 12 games this year? I think that offense could be a whole lot better if they improve the wide receiver room. Same thing for Daniel Jones in New York, right? Get him some more weapons. We've seen Danny Dimes get it to the playoffs and win the playoff game, right? So let's continue to add some weapons. I think Josh Downs is a guy that we may not look at him as a first round right now, but come April, draft night, we see a team pull the trigger at the end of the first round.
All right. Thank you, DP. And I'll ask the scouts one more time. Is there any parting players that you want to just drop a nugget out there for everybody out there watching right now? Does anybody have just another guy, whether that's a Senior Bowl guy, an early declaree, that you think people need to just keep an eye out on?
I'm going to make him come back and hit subscribe on the video channel and see my next one next time we drop a TDN 100 update. I think that's
there it is. There it is. And Kyle, since we're here and we're talking about hitting that subscribe button, hit that thumbs up button, there's some very good news that has just happened over here at the Draft Network. You want to share with everybody out there watching this video what they can be a part of if they are a premium Discord user.
Yeah, so we've heard everybody's cries and seen everybody's questions and the inquiries. We've read them all the questions about the mock draft machine. What's the deal with the mock draft machine? Where did the mock draft machine go? When can we get back into the mock draft machine? Well, we got good news for you. We didn't just take it away for no reason. We built the whole thing from scratch, rebuilt it bigger, faster, stronger, some new elements, some never before done things before with that as well. We're very excited to open the MDM2 beta testing for our premium members as kind of a slow rollout to make sure that things are working the way that they're supposed to. If you're not a TDN premium member, don't worry, it's coming back for you too, but you just can't go play with it right now like the premium folks can because we're trying to keep the filter on that before the lid blows off of it and then we let everybody in no holds barred. So obviously this has been a long process for us to get this thing rebuilt and revamped and revitalized in a way that's going to allow us to make it a new experience. But that's exactly what it is, and we're excited for you all to get your hands on it as well. Me largely for the fact is we don't get the mentions anymore asking where the MDM went. We're excited to have it back, and we know that you are too. So we hope everybody has fun with it when it opens for you, whether you are a TDN premium member or you are not a TDN premium member. Although if you're not, come on, man, it's always draft season. Come on.
It's always draft season. If you're not a TDN premium member, there will be a link in the description. Go become one. I mean, the value gained by that service from not only these incredible scouts that are on your screen right now, but the entire Draft Network team. There's nothing better. And I'm telling you, this new mock draft machine, I've already fixed the Dallas Cowboys. We got Jackson Smith and Jigba and DJ Turner to play cornerback from us from Michigan. So if you want to fix your team, you want to get in there and beta test this beautiful new machine, become a TDN premium member. You get the benefits from that, and everything else that we provide are well worth it. But we appreciate you tapping in for this episode. Please hit that thumbs up button, subscribe, comment below, feed that algorithm for us. But for our scouts and the Draft Network, I'm Ray Garvin. Until next time, peace out.